Vilokya, by seeing, Kupa Samvigna, the she goat who had fallen into the well. Na, not, Amrishyat, tolerated. Bastakarma, the business of the goat. Tat, that. Sex is accepted here as the business of the goat. Translation by His Divine Grace, Shri Charanarinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. When the she goat who had fallen into the well saw her beloved goat engaged in sexual affairs with another she goat, she could not tolerate the goat's activities. Can I repeat the translation? When the she goat who had fallen into the well saw her beloved goat engaged in sexual affairs with another she goat, she could not tolerate the goat's activities. Text 8. Tam durhridam suhridrupam kaminam kshana sauhridam indriyaramam utsrijya swaminam dukkitayayam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Charanarinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Aggrieved by her husband's behavior with another, the she-goat thought that the he-goat was not actually her friend, but was hard-hearted and was her friend only for the time being. Therefore, because her husband was lusty, she left him and returned to her former maintainer. Purport. The word Swaminam is significant. Swami means caretaker or master. Devayani was cared for by Shukracharya before her marriage, and after her marriage she was cared for by Yayati. But here the word Swaminam indicates that Devayani left the protection of her husband, Yayati, and returned to her former protector, Shukracharya. Vedic civilization recommends that a woman stay under the protection of a man. During childhood, she could be cared for by her father, in youth by her husband, and in old age by a grown son. In any stage of life, a woman should not have independence. That ends the Bhaktivedanta purport and translation to Canto 9, Chapter 19, texts 7 and 8 of Srimad Bhagavatam. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So here we see Maharaja Yayati describing his own personal life figuratively by taking the example of he goat and a she goat. So he's saying that when the she goat got married with the he goat, life went on very nicely and they enjoyed their family life very nicely for a good amount of time. But suddenly something happened and that disturbed the she goat very much. So that's being described here. In other words, it's exactly like Yayati married Devayani, And life went on very nicely. But suddenly something happened in Yayati's life, which disturbed his wife Devayani very much. So, what is that? So, taking the example of the goat, he is saying, one day the she goat, the actual wife of the he goat, saw her husband engaged in sexual affairs or illicit affairs with another she goat, and she could not tolerate the goat's activities. So, this is called breach of trust. So, she was very, very disturbed. And being very disturbed, she lost faith on her husband, who's supposed to be her friend and protector. But she realized very soon, actually, my husband is very hard hearted. He doesn't have any concern for me. Hmm? I have come under his protection. But not caring for that, he is associating with another she goat and breaking his loyalty to me thereby. Then she realized he's my friend only for the time being, and understood that her husband was lusty, and therefore, losing respect, faith, and trust on her husband, she left her his protection and returned to the protection of her former maintainer. That means father. The same thing happened in Devayani's life. When Devayani understood that Yayati did not keep a loyal relationship with her, he broke his loyalty to her by associating with Sharmishta, the maid servant of Devayani. So she became very disturbed. Then she left the protection of Yayati and went back to Shukracharya, her father, and complained to her father about these developments. So we see this happen in this material world time and again. When one comes under the influence of lust, or when one does not take the shelter of religious principles, then there is every risk of falling away from the path of dharma. So, whenever there's a restriction or a limitation imposed in Shastra, we should not take it as being controlled or our freedom is being controlled or curbed. This is the modern interpretation. Whenever there's a rule, a niyama, or there's a restriction, we feel our freedom is being curtailed. But actually, it is protection. It is protection. Otherwise, we see here what happens. So, we should take all the Vedic principles in that spirit. Ultimately, it is how you take it. If you take it as your freedom is being curtailed, you are being controlled, you are being monitored. If we have that attitude, it is very difficult. But if we take it as a matter of protection, as a matter of care, concern, love, showed in the form of being protected and freedom not being given for one's own good and development and advancement, then he will stand to benefit. So, see, the entire Vedic training, Vedic life is like this. The modern man, in the modern civilization, this may not be highly appreciated, but we can see the consequences. What has the modern civilization produced? Has it produced a better quality of life? Are people feeling protected, cared for, loved for, without being exploited? If at all they're protected, they're cared, they're loved, mostly they'll be exploited. That's what is happening. If at all somebody is showing extra love, care, there is some expectation in return. Mostly, they're exploited. So Vedic civilization is training people, responsible people, about care, protection, not with any expectation or exploitative nature. So this is very important. So we should not take it as being controlled. Our freedom is being taken away. And everybody needs protection in this world. There is nobody who does not need protection and care. This is a very, very important point. Because in our mind, always it rings that I am independent, I am grown up, I am mature enough to take care of myself. Why somebody is telling me something? Why somebody is constantly instructing me? Somebody is monitoring me? Yes, this is Vedic system of life because it is protection. And even if you are mature, grown up, then the person who is caring for you, he is also grown up, he is also become even more mature. There's always opportunity to learn something. Of course, Chanakya Pandit, that's why he has said, at least up to the age of 16 years, the children should not be given freedom. And they should be brought up little strictly. Lalayet natu tadayet. So we should bring up the children strictly, without any concession or discount, up to 16 years of age. So once the right values are inculcated, then after 16 years, you should not impose too much rule. You should treat your children as friends, as per Chanakya Pandit, after 16 years. But the first 16 years of formative period, you should have trained them perfectly. Then you can treat them as friends. But today, from childhood, we treat the children as friends. So therefore, they're spoiled. That is why it is said that two kinds of people are not to be given freedom: children and women. Why? Is it a controlling nature as the West interprets this? And therefore, there's a boycott to this spirit, to this practice. They have not understood the spirit behind all these instructions. Children and women are vulnerable, they're innocent, they need care and protection. So, to protect them, therefore, this freedom is not given. Na swatantriyam striyam arhati is a Vedic injunction. The stree is not eligible for freedom, meaning she should be given protection. It is not slavery. The Western world have interpreted this as slave mentality. We are imposing slavery of women. Therefore, there is a boycott. There is a unrest among womanhood, and therefore they are not taking shelter of family, home, and they are out everywhere. And we can see the result. They are thoroughly exploited by man and by all irresponsible men, thoroughly exploited to the core. And the women are still not realizing this. That is why, as per the Vedic system, women, in fact, particularly women in all stages of life, need protection. Why? We will discuss that. Again, the Vedic system is protection, not control, not slavery. So that should be out of the head. First thing. So when the woman is, when she's a small girl, the father cares for. When she is married, then the responsible husband cares for. And when she's grown up, then the grown up son should take care. Or a responsible guardian. A responsible guardian. Unfortunately, the sad part in Kali Yuga is the father, the husband, or the son. In the Vedic system, they're all being well trained. The woman, the man, the children, the elders, all are trained parallelly, simultaneously. All are trained and made to lead and live a responsible life as per the principles of dharma, keeping higher values in life. of liberation, self-realization, God realization, like that. So when higher values are dominating, and they know nothing in my life should disturb my advancement towards achieving that self-realization, God realization. So they're careful to follow the principles of dharma. When there are higher values, then you will automatically follow the principles of dharma. When you value something, then any restriction which comes along with that, you will naturally agree to follow. When you know something is very valuable. So human life is very valuable. It's a very responsible life. And human life is meant for self-realization, God realization. Anything which deters our smooth march towards this self-realization, God realization, we should avoid by all means. So that is sense gratification. Lust, which deters our progress in spiritual life. So we should carefully avoid it. Because ultimately, uh, uh, the Shastras are offering us unlimited bliss in spiritual life. So we will not be bereft of uh, any happiness or peace in life by following the principles of dharma. We will be awarded the highest bliss. Therefore, the lust, which is the lowest quality, should be given up. Having full faith that lust and sense gratification, which is of the lowest nature and quality, in contrast, in opposition to this, will be awarded transcendental bliss of the highest spiritual quality. So that one should guard oneself against these pitfalls of lust and sense gratification. So therefore, who will guard? Therefore, there are some elders or some responsible people given charge for protecting and guiding and nurturing their dependents so that they grow nicely. Just like the parents care for the children all through their life. That is the Indian system, the Vedic system, so that they grow up nicely. They become responsible citizens. Uh, They become responsible family man. So they are cared for. They are trained in that way. So earlier, everybody is trained to be responsible and to follow the principles of dharma. Unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, nobody is trained, neither man nor woman. Nobody is trained. Therefore, nobody is responsible. Nobody takes responsibility. Therefore, everywhere there is chaos, unrest, and a lot of heartburn, a lot of disturbance in life. Nobody is trained, nobody is taking responsibility. So the women are left unprotected in Kali Yuga. They're not cared for. Hmm? Unscrupulous men exploit the woman and they desert them, whether before marriage or after marriage. Situation is the same. So they are neglected because they have given up the shelter of either their parents, husband, or their grown-up son. So they're running this risk. So that's what is being explained here in Bhagavatam even thousands of years back. We see the same situation today. Of course, those days it was a very rare thing, these things to happen. But today it has become the order of the day. Everywhere women are exploited or they're deserted. That's a very sad state. Unfortunately, because of the wrong um, uh, logic which they have in their mind about, oh, we are being controlled, we are slave, why should we subordinate ourselves to somebody? We don't have to subordinate. See, subordination is different. Being cared for, protected for is different. They're two different things. The Vedic system does not allow exploitation and lording. That is also taken care. Just like when your father was taking care of you, you don't feel subordinated or being controlled or being exploited. In fact, if you're mature enough, you will appreciate and thank your parents and your father for being strict with you. Being strict with you. Even today, there are few families and few people, they feel very fortunate that they are guided nicely. They don't feel being controlled, and because freedom was not given, they don't feel controlled, they don't feel exploited. Nothing like that. They don't feel slave mentality. Oh, he's always no advising me, controlling me. They don't feel such things. Those who have more experience, we can always take their guidance and help from. Those who are more strong, we can always take their shelter. So what is wrong in that? So in that sense, if you see, man is generally more strong physically and even emotionally than woman. Psychologically, I'm speaking. Now, there can be an exception. Some women might be strong, but overall, because the prakriti doesn't change, this material body, it doesn't change. It is fixed, more or less. So, the female body is not as strong as the male's body. So, she needs protection. Similarly, uh, emotionally, they're more susceptible to emotion than man. And that emotion is being exploited by man. They know how to uh, uh, emotionally tap the woman. So they don't realize that. So therefore, the father or the guardian, the husband, should always be alert in their protection. Just like children, they're very vulnerable. You give a chocolate, you speak two nice words. Oh, very nice child. I like you very much. Finished. The child is sold out to you. So child trafficking is happening. Why? The child just goes away. You give a chocolate, even if he's a drug peddler, he'll just go away. The child has no discriminative power. He has no developed intelligence. And even if he has, physically he's too young and too small. So he's been, the children are exploited. Today, even children we see, they're drugged. Fifth standard, sixth standard children are being drugged. You see? So women also. So they need protection. They have to be cared for. Very important. But responsible people who are supposed to do, they're only irresponsible. That is Kali Yuga situation, unfortunately. So the thing is, finally, who will take responsibility of the turn of events? Who will take responsibility? After talking all so much about freedom, who will take responsibility? Kali Yuga, nobody is taking responsibility. Neither the man takes nor the woman takes. Everybody wants freedom. Everybody wants right and control, but nobody takes responsibility. So Vedic system is well designed that there is a dependent and there's a guardian. The guardian takes the responsibility. The senior member, senior in terms of being mature, being protective. That's all. It's a role. It's a role play. So he takes that responsibility. The father, as per the Vedic system, the father, the guru, the husband, the mother, they're all responsible people to their respective dependents. So when their dependents are young, they need care, protection, and training. Then after mature training, at least children, the male, can be given freedom later on. After 16 years, as Shanik Pandit says, you can treat them as friends, but not before that. But woman, in any case, always is to be given protection all through the life. So Prabhupada says, the father's duty is finished when the daughter is given to a suitable boy to take charge. Hmm? This is called marriage system. Today they don't want to marry. That means permanently you're making a system where there's no protection given to the woman. This is the system. You see, and the Vedic system is there must be constant protection for children and women. And this system is denying that very basic protection. Just like Security Act is there, there's a Food Security Act, there's a Personal Defense Security Act, all these things are there. So you are abolishing that entire system of protection by breaking the system of marriage. Prabhupada says this marriage system is necessary for social equilibrium. So this is called Kanya Daya, giving a daughter in marriage to a suitable boy. Suitable boy, not any boy, suitable boy. So there are many debts. Just like we have discussed that earlier. Putra Rina, Pitra Rina, Deva Rina, many debts are there. But the responsibility of the father to marry his daughter is not just a debt. It is something which is obligatory. Obligation is different from debt. Prabhupada explains nicely one place. He says, he talks about in India we had a system called Insolvency Act. What is this Insolvency Act? It says if one is a debtor and he is indebted to some, say, 5 people, but say about 10 lakh rupees. But suppose he does not have that much money to repay the debt. And he says, I only have 1 lakh. He can go to the court and take shelter of the court through this Insolvency Act and tell the court, my lord, I only have 1 lakh. What can I do? Then the court understands and they have a way of processing and validating his claim. And after doing that, the court declares, okay, fine. So this man has only 1 lakh. So he'll tell all the persons whom he is indebted to, is only 1 lakh is there with him. Now you please share among yourself this 1 lakh and the matter is settled. That's all. That is allowed in court. So it's called Insolvency Act. In that way, that is clear. That is in terms of debt. But as far as the debt of the daughter is concerned, Prabhupada says it is not debt. It is called Kanya Daya. Debt you can take insolvency, but Daya means it is obligatory. You cannot take any excuse. You must marry the girl. You can't give reasons. You must marry the girl. It is obligatory. In fact, a father may not get his son married. That may not be a very great responsibility. But as far as the daughter is concerned, the father must see that she is married. This is called Kanya Dana. She must be given in charity to a suitable boy. Then Prabhupada many times quoted his own personal life about his own sisters. He said, Prabhupada says, in my childhood, my sisters were married between 9 and 12 years, all my sisters. The first sister was married when she was 9 years. And Prabhupada said, before I took birth, my sister was married, the first sister. Then she was the eldest. Then my second sister was married when she was 12. My third sister was married when she was 11 years. Then Prabhupada recollects that when my second sister was touching 12 years, his mother told his father, now I'm going to commit suicide if you don't get my daughter married. She was 12 years old. I will jump in the river and commit suicide, she told. So why? Because the daughter is not married. Then father said, what can you do? I'm also trying my best to get a suitable boy. The Prabhupada said, in his time also, about his own children, Prabhupada said he was married, and when Prabhupada was married, his wife was about 11 years only. And when she was 14 years, she gave birth to Prabhupada's first child. Then Prabhupada said, during my days, my elder daughter was married at the age of 16 years. And Prabhupada himself felt very, very upset and very sorry that he could not get his daughter married early. Of course, now things have changed. They don't even bother whether the girl is married or not. So, Vedic system is not like that. Everybody is trained to be responsible. So, generally, a man should marry when he is 25 years. The girl should marry no later than 16 years as per the Vedic system. Because uh, in this way, when the man is 50 years old, he will have his children who will be 25 years old, and the man can take retirement and spend his time in spiritual advancement, in spiritual life. So that was the system. And he can give charge of his wife to the grown up son who will already be 25 years of age. And you can see this even in Srimad Bhagavatam when Kashyapa Muni left home, left Devahuti, he gave charge of her to his grown up son, Lord Kapila. So the Lord's mother, Prabhupada says, the Lord Kapila, even his mother was given charge under his protection. God's mother, still she was given protection, not neglected. And when Kashyapa Muni left, he didn't neglect her. He said, your son will take care of you and instruct you. Take further instruction from your son. So the woman should take instruction either from the father, husband, or the grown-up son. So this was shown even in the life of Mother Devahuti, the mother of Lord Kapila. So she didn't, when Kashyapa Muni left her, she didn't live independently. She lived under the care of Lord Kapila. Even such great exalted persons, Mother Sita, she also lived under the care of Lord Rama. In fact, we know, but somehow, due to providential arrangement, when she was not cared for by Lord Rama for a small, short period, what happened? Ravana came and then, kidnapped Mother Sita. So, therefore, we can see how woman needs protection. Otherwise, they will be in danger. He puts this question to her. He says, my dear bull, actually addressing dharma in the form of a bull, are you feeling compunction, means regret, for the unhappy women and children who are left forlorn by unscrupulous persons? Or are you unhappy because the goddess of learning is being handled by brahmanas addicted to the acts against the principle of religion? So here also we see Parikshit Maharaj, a responsible king, knows moment there is any untoward instances, that means the principle of dharma is being broken. Some principle is being neglected. So he immediately detected it must be either the woman or either the cow or the bull is being attacked, or the woman and children are being neglected and unprotected. So he's asking dharma whether this happened. So they were so careful in giving protection to their dependents. They were very responsible people. So as per the Vedic system, woman, saintly persons, brahmana, old men, children, cows, animals, all of them need protection. If you analyze, taking some time, you will actually see that all of them need protection for the peaceful upkeep of even social order and pave the path for spiritual life. When materially things are very disturbed in our family, in the society, when things are very disturbed and very disturbing, how can you think of spiritual activities? How can you practice spiritual life? So therefore, the social life should be in perfect order so that one can uh, concentrate one's vital energy in human life towards spiritual advancement. That was the idea. And therefore, the responsible people like husband, mother, father, guru, they all have to see that there is proper arrangement being given and proper culture being given, so that we don't end up into all these kind of complicated situations where women are neglected and children are neglected and they run into serious problems. So I'll stop here. Granthrat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai.